Hi, I'm Linda Warner, and I'd like to demonstrate how this stove is a horrible safety and fire hazard. I bought it from Old Hadleigh Hearth and Patio in South Hadleigh. And it was late 2019 under full warranty, and within a few weeks it started breaking down. Within 2 weeks, the cast iron on the top cracked. Boom! I heard it and came down and said, "Oh no!" There was nothing apparently wrong anywhere. Then, within a very few weeks, this panel cracked, and then this panel cracked. The enamel was chipping off, which is of course cosmetic, but then this left loading door warped in here. Then this glass broke without provocation. A small, medium log hit it in that corner where, by the way, when I took it apart, I found out that there was a missing piece of fiberglass gasket, which would allow air to come in. And certainly air with fire makes a bigger fire. So, anyway, no provocation. Matt Cox repeatedly said not to worry, that this stove pipe temperature consistently reached 900 degrees. That's way over here. Would you like to get a close-up of that clear? 700, 900. Repeatedly. Every time I started a fire. And Matt said, don't worry about that. Just worry about keeping this at 500 degrees. That's the ideal creosote reducing temperature that the stove should be at. Just keep track of that. Well, all three of these stove pipe things that I've gone through now have too hot written as the danger zone. Too hot says too hot. This is too cool. This is where it was every single time that I had the initial part of this, like maybe 20 minutes of that, 20 minutes to half an hour of 900 degrees. So, anyway, I had, can you pause for a second? It also turns out that temperatures above 850 degrees permanently damage or demagnetize, permanently demagnetizes magnets, this type of magnet. They don't stay. Also, what has happened then, and once again after they so-called repaired this thing, is these stovepipe, I put that in there to make it have some tension, because it, as you can see, it has no tension. This one's getting loose, but at least it still has some tension so you can control the air. This one got nothing. It's worse than non-functional because it fools you that it might be workable. It's not. When either of these are closed, it causes the firebox to spew smoke and fire out of an open door because there's no place for the smoke and fire to go. And one of those times, out of this area, a 3-foot by 1-foot tube of fire came out, and melted my sweatshirt. Can you see that?
Yeah.
You got a good melt?
Yep.
A side note on the dampers is that I had told Matt that this chimney has a really strong draft, really ultra strong, and that it would need a damper. He said, we don't normally do that. And I said, please put one in. He put one in. Even with that, it even says so in the manual, by the way, that it would need a damper possibly. So he put that in, but then, no matter what, the stove kept on being way too hot. The stove itself went over their recommended 500 degrees, and it would get up to 700, and I could not stop it, even with the dampers closed, even with the one damper closed. So in any case, it's clearly stated in the manual, too, that in some situations, 2 dampers would have to be put in. Well, they did. They put in 2. Of course, you can see now, after 2 rounds of them, it's going bad already. Anyway, old Hadleigh repaired what they could of these and other problems, and then Matt said that the manufacturer was willing to rebuild the stove, even though Matt himself said he wondered why they'd even want to try on such a mess of a stove. Because there are other problems too. This stove damper down here that belongs to the stove gets stuck. I'm pushing it. There, and I knock it. It should run freely. It controls the amount of air in there. When the stove came back from the second batch of repairs from the manufacturer, it was still prone to sticking like this. It is now. You can see it. Did I say Matt himself said he wondered why they'd even want to try to fix such a mess of a stove? All right. COVID delayed the repair for several months, and when the stove did come back, both the ash clean-out door, please have a seat and get this. I should probably have a we're crooked. I have still photographs of this, and that doesn't stay closed very well. And you can see there's something just crooked, not right about this. The gaps are different. You see it's very gappy over here and narrower here. Mm-hmm. And same thing down here. And if you can get down here, I don't know if you can, but you can see similarly it's crooked here. Oh yeah. It shouldn't be crooked. Excuse me. There are other problems too, like rusty ash pan. When I got the stove, within a week it was rusty. I don't know how that happened. Anyway, COVID delayed it, but for several months. But then it went back late summer, I guess, whatever. Finally, I don't remember exactly when. Anyway, went to the manufacturer in Vermont of Hearthstone. And when it came back, the doors were crooked. They were not crooked before this repair. They came back crooked. So when I called Carla about the crooked doors and this thing being stuck, so she said that neither they nor the manufacturer would do anything to fix it, and she hung up on me. Soon after this, I filed a complaint. You can focus on me if they want, just so they don't get too bored. At the Better Business Bureau, old Hadleigh responded to the complaint as though all of these repairs, which were so many, they said, and I agree there were so many, were my fault and problem, and that they had bent over backwards to more than generously satisfy the innumerable complaints of an unsatisfiable customer. So now, stove came back. After a couple of months, the dampers, as I had showed you, are loose again. I found that out because I opened that up and piles of smoke came out. And I said, oh no. And sure enough, that thing is so loose it just closes when it wants to, which opening when it wants to would also cause a fire hazard, by the way, because air, as with every part of this, the crack in the glass, everything, air is what causes a fire to get bigger as long as there's fuel in there. So, these issues, as well as the 2 ill-fitting doors, render this stove as a totally unsafe fire hazard. I'm left with a dangerous stove that I must get rid of to add to the already $4,000 plus loss to me, which has already been a $4,000 plus gain to them. I have abided by the manual and the warranty 100%. The liability for this dangerous product must be placed on the seller. By the way, the stove looks beautiful, but within only 4 months of actual use after the 2 rounds of extensive repairs, the stove has proven again to be a dangerous and unusable product. By the way, the glass broke again. It was just a medium small log that just, when the door was open, this is not something, I was not getting wild or whatever. It just rolled forward and dunk, and hit that, and it broke. So I'd like to get this settled because, yeah, the left door is warped again too. There's definitely problems with this, and I might make another video. These are pieces of the enamel that have chipped off. It's not a big deal. That's definitely cosmetic, but thought you'd like to know. Of actual, so that you could see the smoke and flame and see, look up here, the effect of this thing being so loose, just whoop, closing on its own will and having the smoke and fire come out, because I was ready. And I may not do this because it's probably too dangerous to mess around. I have a fire extinguisher and water ready so that I might make another video to further prove, if you need it, the dangerousness of the stove, and the liability should be on the manufacturer and not the customer, because I really didn't do anything except what I was told in the manual to do. So I now have been forced to heat with propane. You can face me. Propane instead of the. Would you like to show them the wood I have? I have 8 cords of wood out here that I cannot use. Instead, I'm using expensive propane this winter. Anyway, that's all. That's all. I hope you are objective and can see and understand what the problem is. It's with the manufactured stove. There's definitely a gut problem, and it's structurally unsound and not good. Thank you.